Hey everyone, welcome to Not the Norm. This is a tutorial on how to open and print e-patterns. These come to you as PDF files. So this is the pattern here that I have downloaded to my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. I'm going to move this screen around a little bit so that we can get into this. So this is my file. I can click on it if I want. I can scroll through this to see if everything is looking okay. Looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go up to my printer. I'm going to open that. This is my page to my Adobe printer. This is the printer that I'm going to be using. I'm only going to make one copy. I want to print all the pages. And then I'm going to go down here to page sizing and handling, and I'm going to enable this poster mode. I want it to be at 100% scale. And this overlap is a default that my printer puts in, so I'm just going to run with that. I do want to have these cut marks checked, and I do want to have these labels checked. Now the orientation, whether or not it's portrait or landscape, doesn't seem to make much of a difference as far as saving paper, so we're just going to let it sit on portrait there. If you are using a larger piece of paper, you can go in here to the page setup and tell it what size you're using. And then once you have that all set up, you can come over here to the print, hit that print button, and your printer will start cranking out all those pages, which you then get to put together. So we're going to close out of these screens, and we will show you a good way to get those all put together. All right.
Hi everyone, I'm back. I have printed out the pages of the e-file, and this is information that prints at the upper right hand corner of the page. And as you can see here, it has this parentheses of numbers that prints out. This is the columns, the number of columns that are going to make up your pattern, and these are the pages within those columns. So what I like to do is arrange all the pages by the columns, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, and then 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, and that makes it easier to put them together. I also have here this this little registration mark. This is what we're going to use to line those pages up to make sure that the pattern stays in the correct shape. I'm going to move the camera a little bit here and show you how I prepare these patterns with the registration marks in order to get them together efficiently and fairly fast. So here's the registration mark, and I've punched a little hole in it. And the tool that I use to do that is this here. It's a leather tool. I got this one at the Tandy Leather Company. I think you can find it online if you're interested in getting one. I use this tool a lot. I use it to also mark the darts on my patterns and actually punch holes into the fabrics to sew my darts, which is what they do in industry. They're called drill holes. So you're gonna go ahead and punch a hole on the registration marks on the left side of the paper only, and we'll stop this here and come back and show you how we're going to line those up. Okay, in this next section we're going to be working with these pages to assemble them in columns. So I have here column 2 that I'm working with. I'm going to be working with the first 3 pages. Be aware that there are 2 columns and there are 8 pages in each column. So when we get into the putting the columns together, you'll see that this gets quite long. So I have them arranged. The page information that we talked about previously is in my upper right hand corner. To the left side of the page I have the drill holes punched, and then I have them arranged page 1, 2, and 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slip page 2 underneath page 1. And I'm going to look for the registration marks through the little holes that I've punched. So I have that lined up. So this is kind of an oddball situation that you might run into with your patterns, where you start to lose some information here, and you can correct that by arranging the patterns in the reverse order. I'm just going to go ahead and slip page 1 underneath page 2 so that I get this line information back. And with the drill holes, you can go in and just punch on the right hand side of the page another drill hole just slightly in a different location so that you can still look through it and see the registration marks on the bottom. Okay, so I have those lined up again. There's that one up there. Now I can kind of see through my pages to some of this line printing underneath, and everything so far is looking pretty good. So I'm going to take a small piece of tape and I'm going to put it right there at the top, and then I'm going to put a little bit more at the bottom here. So that first page is all ready to go. I'm going to slide it over a little bit. Now I have page 3, page 2. I'm going to slide page 3 underneath page 2. I'm looking through that hole there to get my registration mark underneath. That one looks good. That one looks good. Everything else seems to line up pretty well here. As you can see, I don't lose any information with this arrangement, so I'm going to proceed as normal. Some more tape. Some more tape. That looks good. So that's basically how you do that. You're going to do column 1, column 2, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put those two columns together. Alright, we are on to the column assembly section of this tutorial. So what I have here is column number 1. Here I have column number 2, and these columns have gotten quite long. They're about 5 foot long, so you'll have to use your imagination a little bit to kind of see down the length of the paper. What I like to do when I have my columns assembled is I then go in and put in a long piece of tape along these shorter seams, or column seams. So I'll put a piece of tape about that long on each of these sections, just to keep it all nice and stable, keep everything from shifting around. So that would be the next thing that you would do. Now that we've assembled these columns, our drill holes have changed a little bit in that they're no longer see-through because we have a page underneath them. So on column number 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the length of my column, and I'm going to repunch these drill holes so that when I lay my first column on top of my second column, I can see through them to the page below. So that is not hard to do. Takes just a second. And as you can see here, I have my little punch tool. I just tap that on top, work my way down the pattern column, just tapping those pieces out. Alright, so now that I've done that, I can now see through those holes, and I'm going to take column number 1 and I'm going to slide it on top of column number 2. And again, I'm going to look through those registration holes. I'm going to start at one end, and I'm just going to work my way down the length of the column. I'm going to add just a small piece of tape at each junction. I'm looking through the registration hole here. I'm going to put just a little piece of tape there. I'm looking through my registration hole here again. Taking a little piece of tape. I'm going to slide this down a little bit. So again, I'm here at my registration hole. I can see that things are lining up fairly well here. I'm going to back up just a second here because I've got this one a little bit off and I have a bubble. So again, here's my registration. I'm going to move that a little bit more. More tape. Coming down to my last registration here, I see that my little ink marks are lining up pretty well. I'm going to lay that tape down. One last little bit of tape at the end. So as you can see, I now have an assembled column. I have an assembled pattern at this point, particularly on this one. If you had more columns, you would then go ahead and punch holes in the bottom of that second column and then line it up on top of your third column, third on the fourth on the fifth, until your pattern is completely assembled. So that's pretty much it. I know it's kind of a drag to assemble these patterns, but hey, you know, if you've got kids or grandkids, this is a really good spatial math exercise, I think. Go ahead and give it to them, have them put it together and see how they do, and then you can just go ahead and proceed to cutting it out. So we'll see you on the site. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and maybe the next step you want to look at is the tutorial on maybe what we should refer to as speed cutting. All right, we'll see you around. Bye.